Okay, so we're going to attempt to make a simple, well, basically pottery and then turn it into a vase. So we're going to go to create and then cube. And once I get this little window out of the way, we're going to create just a 1 by 1 by 1 cube. And there's our pretty little cube. So far, so good. Looks like a cube, that's always good. Now we're going to switch into face mode and we're going to pull the top up because I'm actually going to show you how to make a pot and a vase kind of at the same time. We're going to select two vases, or two faces, sorry, and double click, and that's going to select all the way around. And then we're going to use X or right click, which is where I'm at right now, and hit cut. And ignore the fact that my little shortcut key changed. Sadly, when I zoom in and out, it kept wanting to change the shortcut key in Silo. I'll have to figure out how to fix that some other time. But so you can either keep right clicking and keep going to cut, or you can just click on one face, click on another one, and click X, and it'll do the same thing. From here on out, if I do it, I'm going to be doing X because it's a lot faster. Beautiful, wonderful shortcut key. Now we're going to go to the universal manipulator tool, and we're just going to kind of scale all these little bits in and out to get general pot shape. Ignore if you see anything weird pop up that shouldn't be there. I love to accidentally mishit keys. Now we're going to delete this face because we're going to make an inside. There's two ways you could do it. I figured I'd show you this one instead. In this case, we're going to right click and we're going to go to extrude, or you can just double click on an edge to select the whole ring and then hit Z. And if you know you're going to keep going, just keep hitting Z. And you can kind of move things around, hit Z, move it around again, hit Z. It'll stay on that edge, so as long as you don't click off of it anyway. So you can kind of keep extruding and extruding to your little heart's content. So we're just kind of extruding down because I want to make an inside, because depending on how somebody would render it, they'll be able to see the inside, and you don't want it to just be empty. At least I don't. I have a thing about that. I mean, some people do their pots that way, but I don't. Now we're going to go to vertex mode, and we're going to select all the vertices. And we are going to go to append. And then polygon, which I believe is P on the keyboard. I tell you what, Silo shortcut keys are wonderful and make things so much faster. They save just a few seconds here or there, but it's so much worth it if you can learn them. Now we're going to subdivide, and I tend to do right click subdivide. See, I just get done saying about using the shortcut keys, and watch me do subdivide in the right click menu. But you can forgive me that, right? Now we're going to go and we're going to change our view so we can kind of get a feel for how the pot's really going to look in Poser or DAZ Studio. And if you go to smooth shade and then hide wireframe, then when you click off of it, you'll get a pretty decent, almost identical result to what you would if you imported this exported this out right now and took it into Poser. Up here, you can see when you're subdividing how many polygons it has when it's, if we refine the mesh right now. For more information on subdivision or refining, please feel free to ask me in the thread that this video is posted in. Ignore that window. That was me bumping buttons. But basically you can see we've got kind of a nice smooth pot, but we want to give it a little more smushy bottom, make it look a little bit more like general pottery. Right now it just kind of looks like a blobby blob. Now we're just kind of refining the shape, kind of pulling some pieces in, pushing them out. You're going to notice right here, if you look really close, hopefully you can see it in the video, I accidentally pulled my outside too far inward, and so the inside is poking out. So you can either adjust that by making the outside a little bigger or the inside a little smaller. In this case, I actually want to make the inside a little smaller, so I'm going to pull it in. And at this point, we pretty much have your basic everyday pottery. I mean, you could keep playing with this and get all kinds of different shapes. Like right now, we'll kind of move this down and you'll see that'll give it yet a different look. We're gonna, if I bevel on this edge, which is what I'm gonna do now, then you're gonna see that it too will kind of give it a little bit of a different look. That's like a completely flat bottom. Would actually work well if you wanted a really, really flat bottom, like for a, one of those jar things. I can't think of what they're, for drinks, like mead and stuff. I just can't think of the name of the container. But if we left the bottom the way it was and left the bevel the way it was, we could have like added a handle and done that. In this case, I'm going to move it up, which is going to give like a nice shape to our little pot here. Now, if I wanted to, I could go and refine this edge, or refine this mesh now, and we'd have a pot. And save out the OBJ, import it into whatever application will take an OBJ, and poof, pot. Obviously, you still have to map and material zone and stuff like that, but I'm not covering that in this video. In this case, though, I'm going to select all the edges, and I'm going to bevel those, and now we're going to get a very harsh shape, which is what bevel does. But in this case, I actually did a boo-boo. And while I'd love to cover up my boo-boo and pretend I'm perfect, sadly we aren't, none of us. So I left my boo-boo in the video. Looking around, I couldn't figure out why the bevel didn't look right. Kept looking here. I accidentally had an edge on the bottom and on the inside that I didn't want to bevel. So Control Z to undo that. And then Shift Control, Control Shift, whichever way you want to look at it, to unclick those two edges, and then just bevel again. And now I actually got what I wanted, which was kind of corners. So now we're on our way to actually turning our pot into a vase. And the more I tweak this little bevel thing right here, the more you'll see different looks for this vase. But in this case, I actually wanted the hard corners. So I am actually going to leave it going this way, but you could take it the other way and make it look completely different than this. And so right now, this is what we have. I see a couple things that later we'll have to kind of work on. But so far, it's kind of a cool shape. And really, you could refine this, which basically finalizes the polygons in the model, and you'd actually have a cute little vase as is. But I wanted one of those long vases, like the flowers go in, so I decided instead to play around with the polygons and move some stuff in and out. Keep making adjustments to kind of make it a long, high one. You'll notice I accidentally got the outside and the inside switching places again, so I need to adjust some of the edges. and scale them until the inside is inside and the outside is outside like it's supposed to be. Every once in a while, you'll find when you're moving things around that you need to add some polys in and stuff. If you do, don't feel bad about it. It happens. You know, add poly in where you need to, add an extra edge in. Just pick a face, click on one, click on the one right next to it, and double click while hitting shift, and then hit X, and you'll just slice in a new row of polys, which I think at some point here I do. I actually figured out that I can't talk and model and control the little camera recording thing at the same time. So I'm actually doing the audio after the fact. So if I seem like I don't exactly know what I'm doing or talking about, it's because I'm trying to remember exactly what I did at this point in the video. And sadly, my memory's not as good as it used to be. Isn't that a shame? Okay, there we go. See, I knew I put an edge in at some point. But I know I put an edge on the an extra edge on the outside and then an extra one on the inside too. And as I said, it's just a matter of, you know, click one face, hold shift, click another face, and then double click, and it'll select the whole row around like that. And then hit X, and it's going to put a slice right through that. It'll cut right through those polygons to give you one extra edge that you can kind of work and maneuver with. And in this case, that was helpful because it looks a lot better. So now we have a pretty happy little vase. It looks nice. To me, that would be acceptable. You didn't really have to do too much to it at this point. We could actually mess around with some other edges, cut some more